loves. Today I want to talk about stepping out of victimhood and why that's so important for the healing process. So when you're in victimhood, you're in the very low vibrational 3D emotions where you feel powerless, you have no control over your life, and essentially all your power has been given away to someone or some external thing. So being in victimhood leaves you with a really imbalanced solar plexus. That's your center for empowerment. And so if you lose all your energy in that energy center, there's no way to make your life better when you just feel like you're constantly a victim. So the way to step out of victimhood is through the process of humility. And humility is the idea that you can admit that you've made mistakes. You can start to accept responsibility that, I have played a role in creating my life the way it is. I'm starting to understand that my outer world is a reflection of my inner world. And if I can start to take ownership and start to change my inner world, I will start to see changes in my outer world for the better. And that can be a tough step to take, right? That's a huge leap in terms of moving up the ascension scale, moving out of the 3D into the 4D. The 3D mindset is very fear-based, it's very lack-based, it's all about scarcity and competition and victimhood. And so as you start to take responsibility for your own life and move into the 4D and recognize that your thoughts create your beliefs and your beliefs create your reality, then you start to recognize that you actually do have some control. And of course there are things that we don't have control over. Like if you get into a terrible car accident, or if you're born with a disability, or some kind of chronic illness, or if you've been victim of abuse in childhood, those are not things that you have attracted through your thoughts and through your vibration. I want to be ultra clear about that. Some of these things that we experience that are painful or difficult are part of our soul contracts. So we have agreed to come into this life with certain baggage. We've agreed to come into certain family lines with generational traumas. We've agreed to these certain set of circumstances that are going to create points of pain that are going to drive us to change and drive us to expansion. Those points of pain are our spaces of biggest learning, our spaces of biggest experiencing darkness, polarity, so we can come to the extreme opposite of light, and then find a balance point in the middle where we can live grounded in the 3D world but not feel victim to it. So not everything in our life is what we have created. Some of it is what we have agreed to come in to through our soul contracts or through our soul maps. But a lot of what we're experiencing is a reflection of our limiting beliefs, of our programming, of our generational influence that's come through our family lines. And so when we can start to recognize that and unravel that stuff and recognize, wow, I believe that making money is a struggle. If you don't hustle, you don't deserve what you have. I believe that all the good men are taken and there's nobody left, so I'll never have a good relationship. Watch those stories, watch those things. I believe that physical healing is hard and it's going to take a long time, and I'm going to have to work so hard at it and be so ultra strict. Just watch those thoughts and those beliefs, because those can be holding you in these lower vibrations. But as you move into this 4D, as you step out of victimhood and you start to recognize that you have more control over your life than you recognize. The space you really have control over is your reaction. So we can't control all the external circumstances, right? We can't control pandemics. We can't control financial shifts in the markets. We can't control other drivers. We can't control a lot of things. But what we can control is our reaction. And the way we really step into sovereignty and real ownership of our lives is to move not just from that 4D consciousness, but into the 5D. And the big step moving from the 4D to the 5D is trust. It's trust and surrender, and it's really connecting to our higher power, to our higher selves, and recognizing that everything in our life is serving a purpose. Even if it feels messy, even if it feels insane, even if it doesn't make any sense right now, if you can trust that these experiences are showing up to teach us, to help us, to allow us to experience polarities, to allow us to expand, to allow us to get ultra clear on, wow, this feels horrible. This is not what I want in my life. Here's what I do want in my life. Those points of pain, those points of darkness, being in that shadow work are actually the most powerful places for manifesting what you do want, for co-creating what you do want in your life. So the biggest step you can take, and this is the place where most people get stuck, is that step of humility and that stepping out of victimhood and not feeling like things are happening to you, recognizing that things are happening for you. And if you can embrace the lessons, if you can embrace the pain as a point of motivation to propel you forwards, then you will start to see quantum shifts in your life. And again, this is not an easy step, but this is where most people have a spiritual awakening, as they get to a point in their life where they go, I can't live like this anymore. They hit a spiritual rock bottom. The way my life is working, the way I'm operating is not working for me. I do not want this life. I want something better. I need something better. And taking that accountability for starting to make change. So play with the idea that you are more powerful in creating your life than you realize. Play with the idea of watching your thoughts, watching your beliefs, watching the stories, watching the internal dialogue, right? Watching all this stuff in the head and recognizing that all this stuff in the head is not you. Coming back into the body, getting grounded, getting centered. And my potatoes are done steaming. Speaking of grounding, and playing with how can I take accountability for these things that are showing up in my life that I don't like, that feel uncomfortable. What can I do to start to take ownership and start to shift this and step out of victimhood? So watch for this victimhood space in your life and recognize that releasing that is such an incredibly powerful way to start manifesting what you do want. So you got this. Bring it back to that self-observation as always, and bring it back to getting ultra clear on what is the vision you want for your life. And don't worry about how you get there. You just take the next step, stepping out of victimhood and starting to accept responsibility and humility for what your life looks like without any judgment, all from a place of self-compassion. So I hope this video resonated for you. And if you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comments and I'm happy to answer for you. All right, sending you guys so much love.